Hi, and welcome to Group OT. This week we will be making a frog and a lily pad. Take a moment to pause the video while you grab your supplies. You'll need the printed lily pad template. This can be in any color. If you only have white paper, that's okay because we can color it in with a marker. And I've printed out 4 copies, but it's okay if you're only printing out 1, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Next, you'll need white paper for the eyes and green paper for the frog. For the lily pad itself, we'll be using a paper plate. If you don't have a paper plate, we can also just cut out a circle using a piece of paper. Next, we'll need paint to paint the lily pad, preferably green. I did not have green, so I have a picture of a blue paint bottle here. You'll also need a paintbrush, as well as a piece of tissue paper, black marker, and child-safe scissors. So we're going to cut a piece out of our paper plate, but we're going to outline it first, so just draw 2 diagonal lines so it looks like a piece of pie. And then we can get our scissors and cut on the line that we just drew. Next, let's get our paint and our paintbrush. I'm just going to squeeze some paint, just a little bit to start with, and then I'll add more paint as I go. And then I also laid some newspaper on the bottom so that it doesn't get too messy. And here my lily pad is all painted, and then I'm going to lay it out in the sun to dry, and then I'm also going to wash my hands and my paintbrush. Next, let's move on to the lily. So let's get a highlighter and just trace on the border of the flower, and then that will help us for when we're cutting it with our scissors next. So I'm using 4 sheets of paper in order to add a 3D dimension to our lily, but this can mean that the activity will take a while. So you can go ahead and just highlight and cut 1 lily and then see how your child feels, and if they want to do more, they can go ahead and cut more. But do remember, we still have to make the frog and then put everything all together. So it's up to you what you want to do, but you're definitely not required to do all 4 lilies, but I will show you what it does look like if you decide to use 4. So since doing 4 is optional, I'm just going to glue them together, but I am going to speed the video up a little bit here. Also, you might notice that I'm slightly offsetting each lily so that you can see all of the different layers coming through. The next step is to fold the petals of our lily so that they are raised slightly, and that'll give them more of a 3-dimensional feel. Okay, so now let's get our tissue paper, and then I'm just going to draw a few squares in the tissue paper, and that's what we'll be cutting out. So I just drew the squares approximately the same size as the center of the flower because that's where this tissue paper can go. And you can use any color, it doesn't have to be yellow, just whatever you have on hand. Alright, now so let's get our scissors and just cut along the lines that we drew. My scissors aren't great at cutting tissue paper, so just go slow, take your time because tissue paper does tear easily, but just have patience and you'll be able to cut through and we'll have our tissue paper. And then just keep cutting so that we are left with a few nice squares. Once we have our squares, we can use a pen or a pencil to crumple the tissue paper around. That will give us the shape we're looking for. And then let's get our glue, add it to the center of the flower, and then just add the tissue paper on top. So I wasn't happy with how it looked, so I went back and I cut out a few more squares that are slightly smaller, and then I just added glue to the top of the first layer of tissue paper, and then just kept adding smaller bits of crumpled tissue paper until it had the volume and the dimension that I was looking for. So next, let's get our green paper and our black marker, and then we'll use our hand to trace our frog. So if you don't want marker prints on your skin, you might be better off using a pencil. I just used a marker because it was nearest to me, but I did have some marks on my skin, which is okay too. You can always wash it off, but you know, just use a pencil if you want to be safe. And once that's done, you can grab your scissors and go ahead and cut on the line, and then this will end up being the body for our frog. So next we're drawing the eyes with our white paper and black marker. You can use a toilet paper roll. Double check to see which side looks more circular, because I found out that toilet paper rolls are not necessarily as circular as you think. So do check both sides and see which one looks better. You don't have to use this. This is just another tool to practice tracing on, but you can also just draw a circle and have your child trace. And then once you have your circles drawn, we can cut them out. And then we can use our black marker to draw the eyeballs. Once the eyes are cut and ready to go, we can add 2 dots of glue and then go ahead and glue our eyes on. Next, it's time to draw the mouth, so I'm just going to draw a nice big smile on my frog. Next, it's time for our tongue. So I'm using a bit of scrap paper that I had from the flower, but you can also use white paper and then just color it in. And then once you have your strip, go ahead and use a marker or a pencil to roll it up to give it a nice curve. And then we can get our glue, add some glue to the bottom of the frog's mouth, and just glue on our tongue. I'm going to roll it again just because I felt like it wasn't curled enough. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now I'm just going to use another piece of scrap paper that was from when we cut the frog out. This sheet of paper will be used to hold the frog in place, but you go ahead and take this time to practice writing first name, last name, and phone number on the back. Once that's all done, we're going to roll up the piece of paper, kind of like a toilet paper roll, and this will give us a nice base of support for our frog. So it'll help it stand up just like that. Now we have all of our components and it's time to assemble. So first I used tape to tape the frog down, and then I got some glue, and then I'm going to glue the lily onto the lily pad, and then just press it right in the center, and then remember to fluff back up your tissue paper when you're done. Give your lily a few more folds, and then there you have it, your frog, and it's Lily and the lily pad. Hope you had fun, and see you next time!